In this episode, I am joined by Sama Mandal, a conservationist from India working on conservation outreach with a focus on children. We talk about how schools can nurture an interest for wildlife and conservation and why it is necessary to conduct conservation outreach at a young level. Welcome so much to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So, what sparked your interest into conservation?
Okay. So my passion for biodiversity conservation was sparked during my MSc degree in environmental sciences as I was a student. So I always had an inclination towards the environment, which began to take root during my undergraduate in Delhi only. So and in Delhi, it's not very, we don't have any scope. So right now, to fulfill this growing curiosity and interest, I pursued environmental sciences at my master's level, which provided me with the in-depth insight and strong conceptual understanding. Then academic trips to wildlife sanctuaries and conservation sites further nurtured my enthusiasm. Witnessing the endangered species in their natural habitat, I used to, go for the excursion from my college to natural habitat to see how they are doing it, how it is important for the ecosystem, and learning how human action threatened their survival opened my eyes to the urgent need for conversation. Moreover, my teachers in Bangalore University, who were also dedicated environmentalists, made a profound impact on my perspective. So their passion, their field experience, and commitment to sustainability deeply inspired me. So they not only imparted knowledge, but also instilled me a sense of responsibility towards protecting nature. So through their discussions, field projects, so we used to go with them. We used to, go to the excursions and study the environment, study the species in their own natural habitat and case studies. So they helped me realize that importance of active participation and conservation and the power of small individual action in creating lasting change. So these experiences collectively strengthen my resolve and I'm still doing it and I will definitely keep on doing it so that I can contribute meaningfully to the conservation of biodiversity.
So, why do you think early exposure to wildlife plays such an important role for conservation?
Definitely, I strongly believe that exposure to wildlife at an early stage now is the lead of the hour because this age transforming children into active eco warriors. So earlier we were only the passive observer. So right now, if there is an early exposure, so making them active participant rather than a passive observer in their journey towards the conservation. So when the young minds experience the nature closely, as we have been exposed to the natural things very lately, like in my during my MSc only I got to exposure and some in my undergraduate. But if the children are exposed at early age, so they develop a empathy, a responsibility towards the environment, and motivating them to take action from an early stage and becoming advocates for the nature. That is very important in today's time where the biodiversity extinction is at on the at a high point. So early exposure also helped them to understand the environmental problem more clearly, enabling them to think critically and find meaningful solution. So unfortunately, many people today remain unaware of the real issues. So they know that the issues in bits and fragments, but right now they don't know the entire what has to be the guiding points. So right now affecting our ecosystem definitely, and the result we all know, they struggle to provide effective solution. So right now cultivating awareness and connection with the wildlife from childhood is therefore essential to building a generation that not only understands environmental challenges but also feel inspired to protect the planet.
So, how can parents or schools cultivate a genuine interest for wildlife and nature?
Uh, the students are basically the child. Basically, right now the child has two kind of exposure at an early stage. Like parents are the first teacher, and home is every child first school. That is very important. And while educational institution become the second home, because most of the time the students or the young minds are getting their exposure from the home and the school. So when we start talking to children about the environmental issues early on, we do more than just inform them. So we empower them to think questions and find solution. The conservation of retreating wildlife is no longer a far concern. It's a crisis unfolding right there, right now. So, and in this moment that we need not just to awareness but action. So, action is very important. All of we are getting aware by some or other means, maybe by discussion and by videos. Lot of documentaries are there out, and right now with the tech savvy students, so it is already all available. But when we keep on talking about it, when we keep on discussing about it, then it makes a difference, because we are not only aware, making them aware, but making them take action. So school and families together can shape that action. Now, simple yet engaging activities like nature walks, simply nature walks, just go to the park or any nearby place, just connecting with the nature, bird watching, eco art projects, and or student-led campaign. These are very important. Campaign, students enjoy campaign like anything. So they are very enthusiastic. We just need to channelize their energy. So though we can redirect young minds toward practical and creative solutions. So when children are given chance to explore, reflect, and contribute, they begin to see themselves as a change maker. So early exposure to such an experience doesn't just teach them about the environment, it nurtures compassion, responsibility, and a lifelong commitment to protect our planet.
So many children and adults fear wild animals, especially snakes and insects. So, what strategies can educators use to replace fear with curiosity and respect?
Yes, that is very natural, because I think that's how the outdated beliefs and fear based teaching have shaped the misconception about the wildlife. Like for generations, children, even if you think of ourselves only, so we can understand that we have been taught that animals like snake and spiders and wild creature, even a dog, even if I don't talk about the wild animals in the nature, if I talk about the dogs and cats, so we all have been taught that they are very dangerous and should be avoided. Every time a children is going to a dog or cat, so we have seen the parents taking them, in a defensive mode. So this fear based approach, basically rooted in old beliefs rather than conservation awareness, now has created a widespread misconception and misunderstanding. Most of us learn to see that all snakes are poisonous, although all snakes are not poisonous at all. Some are poisonous, or every wild animal as a threat. So, without understanding actual ecological importance or the role they play in the maintaining balanced ecosystem, if earlier generation had been guided with accurate knowledge, highlighting species differences, their behavior, and contribution to the nature, perhaps we would have started caring for biodiversity much sooner. So today, now with the climate change, habitat loss, and the urgent need of misconception to safe, hands-on experience such as observing the insect, which is very important, non-venomous snake, or the wildlife, storytelling, documentaries, they play a very, very impactful, you know, nature in that thing. So encourage empathy and curiosity. So when children are exposed to accurate knowledge and positive experience, fear transform into respect and action. So true conservation begins with awareness, understanding, and the right guidance, I guess.
So, what are some, sorry, how do early lessons about endangered species or habitat loss influence conservation choices people make later in their life?
See, when children learn early about the endangered species or loss of habitat, it shapes how they think about the natural world for the rest of their lives. So these lessons turn abstract ideas into personal understanding. So they see that animal and planet are just out there. So if you, well, it is not like a abstract form, but part of the world we depend on. So they understand it, the how the interdependence of the animals and the plants and the biodiversity, all this interdependence, they understand that. So early exposure built empathy, curiosity, and responsibility, which often led to the people making conscious choice later. So like supporting conservation projects, conservation local wildlife, or living more sustainably. Simply put, the knowledge and experience we gain as a kid plant the seeds for lifelong care and action of our planet.
So, what are some creative ways to teach children that conservation is just not about protecting animals, but also people's futures?
See, earlier I have just only told you, told you that there should be a part where the student should be proactive action or change maker. So conservation isn't just about saving animals. So it's about protecting our own future too, because we all are interdependent. So if a single bee is, the population of bees are not there, so consequently the effect will be on us also. So one of the best ways to teach kids about these through stories and role play, letting them act on how things deforestation or pollution affect both wildlife and people. So rather than just sitting and complaining about the pollution, we should start change making. So games and simulations can show how ecosystem works and why humans rely on the healthy environment. So hands-on projects like school gardening, so planting a tree maybe. So right now our government is also running many programs like Maa Ke Naam Ek Ped. So that was a very simple activity where the parents were also involved as a stakeholder. So it's not something, it was just only knowing about the very important plants about, and just planting them in a small planter and maybe keeping them at home, or maybe donating to some of the parks. So that is was very simple activity. So these kind of activity actually have an impact where hands-on experience are very important, where they are only, planting the seedling, they are taking care of the seedlings and they are watching it grow. So when you watch it grow, you have a compassion, you have an empathy toward that creature. So like that only, or creating a maybe bird nest or creating a bird feeder. So help them to see direct link between the nature and the clean air, food and water. So even small community activities like clean up, just clean your nearby, or maybe water conservation drives, show that action really do makes a difference. So by connecting with real life example and giving children opportunities to experience and care for nature. So we can help them understand that protecting environment is really about protecting all of us. So it's for our benefit more. So today and in the future, definitely we should start doing it.
So, how can wildlife education help children reconnect with their cultural roots, traditional stories, and local heritage?
think wildlife education can do something really special. Like it helps children reconnect with their cultural roots and local heritage. Many traditional stories, myth, and the festival are inspired by animals, rivers, forest, and natural world. So if you see still many of the parts of the country or like India only, so they all the if you dig a little bit, so you will get to know that all the things, all the festivals, they are basically actually basically connected to nature only. Maybe it's some crop or maybe some animal. So many festivals are there which are dedicatedly, given to the animals only. So Hornbill Festival you can see, and then these Nag Panchami. So these are very small, not small, but conservation ideas only. Maybe back in the in decades that they knew the importance of these creatures. So they have dedicated an entire festival on them so that they can conserve it better. Because when the things are related to religion or maybe some custom, so we tend to follow it more. So by learning about the wildlife, children can rediscover these stories and understand the lesson they carry, so like respect for nature or living in harmony with the environment. Field trips to local forest, now visit to sacred groves, very important, or storytelling session makes these connections real and memorable. So it's not just about learning science, it's about seeing that protecting nature is a part and honoring the wisdom and tradition their ancestors. So in this way, wildlife education connects the past, present, and the future in a meaningful way.
So, do you think the modern urban lifestyle has weakened these cultural links with nature, and how can schools help rebuild them?
Definitely, modern urban lifestyle has weakened these cultural links with nature, because right now everybody is busy, hustling and bustling here and there. So we forget about nature, and right now nature is has become a more than a luxury to anybody. So we get to know the nature, or we get to spend time with nature when it is like it's come as a luxury trip, or maybe very, not exactly which meant to be in daily life, but sometimes. So modern urban lifestyle have in many ways weakened our connection with the nature. With a high-rise building, limited green space, and digital entertainment, children often grow up far removed from the forest, rivers, or wildlife. So seeing a village, which is, our India is very much privileged to get those villages and wildlife and the green patches. So right now it become a trip for them, that they are seeing the village for the first time, and they don't know how to react, and they see it as a, something very special that they have never seen it. So that inspired so many traditional stories and cultural practices. So school can help rebuild this link by bringing nature back into learning. So through outdoor classes, field trip to local natural site, storytelling about the folklore, and hands-on conservation projects. So when children see how their heritage is connected to the natural world, they begin to understand that protecting wildlife and ecosystem isn't just science. So it's also about preserving their culture, identity, and the wisdom of the generation before them.
So, are there simple field based or backyard activities that can help children develop sharper observation skills through nature?
Definitely, there are plenty of simple ways for the children to sharpen their observation skills right their backyard or the local park. It's not that much difficult that you have to take an entire day or maybe something, but a simple nature walk with the grandparents, or maybe on Sunday morning when your school is not there. So maybe a simple leaf or insect hunt, a bird watching. These are all fun ways to notice the pattern, the colors, the behavior of the environment. So keeping a nature journal, their kids sketch plants, animals, or track the help them to pay attention to the details. So simply just observe the, leaf, and what kind of leaf today you have observed. These kind of activities, just draw it. Maybe just making a herbarium, a small handy herbarium. So these type of activities can actually make a huge impact. So in this thing, they are basically seeing the details, how it look like. Because when it is an observing time, that's fine. But when it is, recreating the same thing on your own, that needs some of the skills. So that needs observation, a keen observation. So small activities like watching the ant at work, maybe listening to bird calls only, okay? Comparing a different type of soil, leaves, teach patience, focus, and curiosity. So whenever they are close to the nature, they're observing these things, then they get to know that what the problem, what the real problem lies in. So these hands-on experience don't just develop sharper observation skills, but they also help children build a deeper connection with the nature, a natural world around them.
So, research has shown that time in nature reduces stress and improves mental health. How can schools integrate nature exposure into their daily routines?
Okay, so right now mental health is on the trend. Everybody is talking about mental health. So the solutions are very simple. So right now we are disconnecting so much with nature. Actually, nature is very, blissful. It is very relaxing. So if you on the Sunday morning, if you just go for a walk and just listen to the nature, no, not talking to other person and all those things. Just talk to the nature. So you can actually talk to the nature, and spending time with nature actually, reduces stress and improves mental health. So what we are talking about, so much mental health, and these are going like this. We need some support. You don't need any support. You just need to get connected with the nature again. So these kind of terms, although they used to happen earlier also, but right now it is on rise, and that's why we are discussing so much about mental health. Earlier also, mental health definitely was a part of society. It is not a new term, but it was not very prevalent. So right now, because they used to, mental health, they used to not talk about it. So right now, mental health is actually a problem. So it need to be addressed. Very, very important things. So right now, I have seen the children of small age, they are talking about mental health. So I can understand that in the society, how mental health is it getting integrated with daily life at the early age. So spending time with the nature isn't just fun. It actually reduces stress and boosts mental health. Schools can make nature a part of every day in a simple way, like in the morning while assembly time. If they talk about a little about the nature, imagine outdoor classroom. or lessons in the garden, in the schoolyard. Nothing. You have to simply take the students from the classroom and take them to the outdoor. Just the outdoor class, nothing more. Rocket science is not there. Just take the students from the classroom to the outdoor. At least some of them will be observing the nature in different way. So these kids can learn while surrounded by greenery. Now short breaks to walk among the plants, then watch birds or just breathe fresh air can refresh the mind between the classes. So project-based activities like planting trees, tending vegetable patches or caring for school garden. So you don't keep a gardener. So you can make the small kids a gardener. So small, you can encourage them, you can teach them, you can guide them how to take care of plants. So give the students hands-on experience with nature. School can also set up a small nature clubs or eco clubs. Right now, we are also running those kind of clubs. So organize a bird watching session or plant a seasonal trip to nearby parks or forests. These small regular connection with nature not only improve the mental well-being but also help the children to feel more connected to the world around them and definitely connected to the nature.
And the final question is, if you could redesign the education system, what would an ideal wildlife and nature education curriculum look like for young students?
So redefining designing the education system is very, very important nowadays because the thing is that the scenario 2 decades earlier and the scenario right now is very, very different. So right now, the biodiversity is on the verge of extinction. Many already have extinct. We have only explored 2%. I have just read only we have explored 2% of the biodiversity what we have in the world, and that too is on the verge of extinction. So if I could redesign the education, I would make wildlife and nature learning part of everyday life for the young student. So lessons wouldn't just in the textbook. Kid would explore the school gardens, nearby forest or maybe a park area. So rivers or streams and parks, observing the plants, animals and seasonal change firsthand. So they would take part in the hands-on projects like building a mini ecosystem, a terrarium. That is a very good idea. So every year we are doing this with my kids. So in our school, we are giving them a kind of ecosystem, and there are different kind of different kind of like temperate zone is there, the polar zone is there, tropical zones are there. So all the zones have different kind of ecosystem. So we ask them to choose an ecosystem. In that manner, they actually observe the ecosystem. They read about it. So what is the different kind of ecosystem and how they are working? And we ask them to make it on their own. So they are actually taking the soil. They are observing that for maintaining a ecosystem, what is important. So while doing that, they also get an idea that only putting the plants or only putting a single type of animal or maybe bird is not, important or not necessary. It takes all the things together, put up together, and they can only make the ecosystem. So these kind of activities very enjoyable also, and then definitely growing gardens at their own home or monitoring local wildlife. So stories, folklore, and the cultural connection would show how humans and nature have been linked for generations. So technology app like Citizen Science Project and then iNatures, then documentary will expand learning beyond the classroom. So most importantly, I think children would not only gain knowledge but also develop empathy, which is very important, responsibility and the sense of stewardship for the environment. Now, by blending exploration, culture, science, and action, students would grow into citizens who care deeply about protecting the planet. That is very important need of the art, and I think every children should do it. Every curriculum should include it.
So that was the final question I had for you today. Thank you so much for taking time out for this.
Thank you so much.